Happy New Year!
Hello, everyone. How are you?
I'm very sorry about the time confusion. That's completely my fault. I put the wrong time in.
Whoops.
Oh.
Yes.
But we put an extra long intro on the title today because we were watching somebody else's live stream, and apparently YouTube doesn't give out its notifications very promptly. But if there's a half-hour intro from when you're going live, it should have time to sort of give everybody the notifications that it's starting. Sorry, I don't know why that's open in Photoshop. Apologies.
Yeah, never mind. It's Monday, the 2nd of January 2023, and it's 7 p.m. How are you? I hope you all had a very relaxing and loving Christmas and New Year period. We did, didn't we?
We did.
It was quiet.
Had a lovely time. And we got some special presents, which we'll talk about later.
Did we?
Yeah. Gary Aylward wanted to say thanks for your live rig deep dive on the last BOOcast.
Oh, that's okay, Gary. It was a pleasure and really nice of you to ask. And yeah.
He had a follow-up question.
Oh.
So, how many people and synths would then be required to play Boo songs completely live?
How many arms are they allowed to have, Gary?
2
legs?
arms?
I haven't got a clue. It varies from
Depends
track to
from track to track, yeah. Different amounts.
So why?
It'd be a phenomenal task of programming and everything.
Phenomenal, yes.
Yeah. Big
That's
task.
the word.
I have another question.
Actually, the worst thing would be trying to wrangle people. You've all been in bands, you know, and people are great. But drummers, man. Oh, the stories I could tell you. It's just looking for a drummer just before you're about to play and finding him upside down in a toilet, having drunk 3 bottles of gin all day. I mean, these are things that happen, you know. Human pain is real in these instances. Why do you think we use sequences?
With synths, yeah. I had one other question actually from Stefan last, which we missed in the last episode.
Oh yeah.
So we did a cover of Sparks, Thank God It's Not Christmas, which many of you probably watched over Christmas. And he says, with that in mind, have you ever considered doing a covers album? Or would that be a problem with publishing rights, etc.? We've definitely thought about doing a covers album. I've actually got a list in my diary of songs.
This is all new to me.
Unbeknownst to you. But I don't know, in practice, we do them live. We've just done them live, and we've only recorded one, and that was for a compilation that was never released. So, yeah, it would probably take some wrangling. Apparently, it's quite straightforward, but
yes, it's not difficult. There's not a lot of money to pay either.
You had covers.
Yeah, Katzen did
yeah.
covers on both of them, and that was fine. But that was all sorted out by the label. But yeah, that's a nice idea. It's always a nice exercise, isn't it, to do someone else's music for a while, just to
It's fun.
Finding out how things are constructed and put together, and learning stuff. You were learning an Elton John song today.
I was, which I didn't really know properly. It's your song. It's just I'm going through the lessons in piano and learning things on piano. So for split chords, I was learning your song.
You can tell everybody.
Oh yeah, I knew the chorus.
One.
The rest of the song's like the same. It's all about that bit. I love that bit. But that's true. A good song only has to do one thing.
Hey, that's my line.
It is.
But yeah, it's amazing how simple some songs are. And then, actually, by the same token, it's amazing how complicated some songs are, which at face value seem really simple. I seem to remember trying to do an Elvis Costello song or two, going, oh, that'll be easy. Whoa, what's going on? It's like, yes, we've got chordal craziness everywhere. And, ABBA and David Bowie and...
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to learn Life on Mars, and it's like, well, both hands are doing completely different things.
Who was asked us this?
Sorry?
Who asked us?
Stefan asked us about covers.
Stefan. Okay, so I'm going to read between the lines. Am I to take it that our songs aren't good enough?
I think he's got everything we've ever done.
He does. And you're sick of them now.
Can't be that.
You're damn well sick of them. Anyway.
Yeah, a Christmas thing we bought. We were struggling to get new sort of monitoring headphones for recording, and we tried a new brand.
Let's not slag off any brands.
Well, it didn't work out for us, so we've just gone back to what we wanted.
Yeah, we were thoroughly recommended a set of. I won't say who
it's
they
not
are.
slagging off a brand. It's just, we ended up talking to the guys at the music shop at GAC in Brighton, and we all arrived at the same conclusion. It's just such a personal thing with your ears and how you hear things and how you gauge things, and sometimes what you're used to is actually more valuable than something that's maybe better in some ways, but it's just harder to interface with.
They weren't expensive ones either. They were basically for tracking. So we were going to get. We've always used Bayers and the old DT 770s. I mean, they're pretty budget sort of, the ones. And I use the open back 990s. They're a little bit better, but we wanted to. I've been recommended them over and over again. The Focal Listen Pros and stuff. They're pretty cheap, 160 quid. Internet is completely awash with amazingly positive reviews. Everyone in the shop's been recommending them to me for ages, like Dan and Gary and all those people at GAC. And I went, oh, all right then, come on then, because I've had a bit of trouble with Bayers. A couple of times the drivers have died, and pretty quickly too. And so I thought maybe it's time to change. Got it home and I just went, this is weird. It's like the soundstage had collapsed down to mono, and maybe I'm just clinically deaf, as you're implying by telling me I should do cover versions.
Stefan said, no, not at all.
No,
not at all.
I'm sorry, Stefan, I know. And I'm sending you massive New Year's love. And that's, what is it, 12 years now? 10 years you've been in our court?
Thank you.
Where's that? In our court. Back pocket?
The hallowed halls of Boo.
You're not in our back pocket. I wish you were. I'm going to take this one out. Oh, and these.
Yes.
So Nick Batt recommended these, 40 quid.
Half
Amazon.
that.
Do you know what they are? 20 quid.
25 quid, I think.
And they're actually Bridget's, but I just put them on just now, and they're exceptional. I mean, they're really clear, quite powerful, and they totally block everything out. Should we find out what they're called?
Oh,
we'll do that in a minute.
I can pull up the link later.
Anyway, we've got a packed show for you
this
evening, and weirdly, this morning we had nearly nothing.
We did, because this month we were both ill. I was really ill. I haven't been ill for such a long time, and you know what happens when you stop working? Your body just like, oh, I need to rest now, and all the lurgies come in.
You sick little monkey.
So it was only a week and a half, but it felt like longer. Just not like floored on bed, can't do anything. So that threw a spanner in our productivity. And of course,
just ate before we came on air as well, because we haven't eaten all day because we've been busy
all
day
busy
doing the
today.
show.
We did a proper last minute essay.
So apologies if I burp it right in your ears. I'll try not to.
We've put together some interesting stuff. And before we share, should we share?
Yes, we got a little bit of news. So where are we? Our album with Go-To Records, Finlay Shakespeare's Go-To Records, based in Bristol, is coming out on the 20th
of January.
20th of this month. So, and we've finalised the track list. Thank you very much for your suggestions. We couldn't get everything in, and we had to take a lot of take account things that Finn wanted to have in there as well, because I mean it's his label. He was going, I really want that in there. I was like, okay, sure. So we hope you're happy with it. I mean, obviously most of you, well, some of you will have these tracks already, but we've got an exclusive we can reveal in Photoshop. How do we do that? Thanks. Yeah. We can reveal in Photoshop. This is the artwork. It looks like that.
Constellation of Boo. And it's called We Are Ghosts.
Yeah, there you go. Is there a back cover to show?
We're not showing that at the moment, but I have some surprises to reveal.
Sure, so there you go.
But that's basically the outer sleeve, and then there's an inner sleeve with the CD.
So that's coming out on the 20th, and
it's quite full. It's a large. I think we've got the most out of the space.
There are 17 tracks. I mean, we could have put twice that many on, but we had to do some judicious editing, and then obviously programming the album. Always an interesting process. What order do you put tracks in? Where do you go? I wonder how you do it. I tend to think of it as little sections, like here's a short gig, of 4 songs. Here's another one, or do it like that. Get to the end like that. Or I always like to end with a quiet one. I don't know if you noticed this.
Yes, I do as well.
Yeah.
So that's good.
A sort of goodbye.
That's a difficult amount of tracks to juggle. Like as we were going through it and checking with each other, does that work? But it didn't take too long. Yeah. And it's very exciting to have that coming out. And then shortly after, so the 20th, the compilation's out. The 26th, we're doing the live lounge for the BBC introducing, which is exciting too.
That's right. Again, and thanks to the flash mob that you did. So we're doing our second live lounge. And I actually feel like a bit of a fraud. I don't know if you do. It's because this is for up and coming in unsigned young bands. I mean, we're an unsigned 10-year-old band with,
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll never sign.
I wouldn't like to add together our ages, but just to be. But that's going to be great. And we're planning. Nice. We're going to be practicing. Because obviously Bree's been ill a little bit, so I haven't been able to do much practicing. But I did a lot of programming and working the stuff out and doing all that. And lovely. That's something to look forward to, isn't it? Yeah. Yep.
And what have we got next? Yeah, that's kind of all the news. Now, I was trying to find who asked this question, and I can't remember for the life of me. I'm very sorry. Somebody asked us a bit about the story behind Poliakov.
Yes.
Which is a track from Snare. So we thought we'd talk about that.
So this might be a bit. Okay, let's see how it goes. So it's a song stories.
Stories.
So Poliakov, what are we going to say about it here?
Play the first bit.
Play the first bit.
You pause it up in the next bit.
So that's a huge pause there.
Sorry, I left a big pause.
One of the CIA's greatest spies, Dmitry Poliakov, is caught by the KGB and strip-searched. His head is held in an arm lock to prevent him taking poison.
So that clip is from Cold War, a 24-part documentary about the Cold War, which we watched 90% of, most of.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't watch it when we were doing Snare, though. So the beginning of Snare, we became a bit obsessed with spies, didn't we?
Yeah, talk about Snare later, but okay. Poliakov specifically related to this clip, which we did see. We saw this clip at the time.
Yeah.
Of Poliakov being arrested and the very strange smile he has on his face.
Well, it's not a strange smile. It's an interesting concept. So Poliakov was betrayed by his American... So he's a KGB officer, I think, or he was someone, and he was spying for the Americans. And a counter-espionage person betrayed him and gave him up. And that person was subsequently arrested and is now in jail. Poliakov was executed. Now, and then, I should have got my book and brought it up.
That will play a bit in the documentary about what happens to him.
But the thing that interested me is these people are betraying their country, betraying their closest friends, and they're doing it. Some of them are doing it for purely ideological reasons. So they've got the purest of intentions and the greatest of noble ambitions for what they believe is right. And still others are doing it for the money. Yeah. It's just fascinated me. It's the idea that a person can be doing exactly the same thing and doing it for two completely different reasons. And the other story that I remember is something that Mark Thomas talks about in one of his stand-up shows, because he was friends with that guy. I can't remember his name, but you might know who I'm talking about. That guy that was an undercover cop that was with...
in the UK, he infiltrated
that's right.
a grassroots sort of movement.
It was like a sort of protest group, and he was in there. He got married. He had children with a member of the group. And only years later did it come out that this guy was just sending information all the way along. And again, there's another story about that lady who was in East Germany who was arrested by the Stasi, and she was locked up, and... she was married with 2 children, a very loving relationship, lovely husband. And then decades later, when the Stasi files were opened up, she looked and she found the person that had been passing information daily was her husband. Now, this is the stuff that started this idea of this song and actually the whole album. It's like these people who are doing these odd jobs, which, as it turned out, ended up being quite sort of useless. Did they change anything in the end? Not really. And another interesting fact, I'm just reading a book called The Happy Traitor. And it's about Blake, George Blake, who's a British, actually no, he was Dutch, but he was a British national. He worked for MI5 and he was passing information to the Russians. And George Blake, in his books, noted that when they were returned to Russia, the spies that had been handed over, when they got back to the Soviet Union, rather not Russia, it was easier for the ones who were doing it for the money to settle in than the ones that had an ideological belief behind them, because they were the ones that got there and realized almost immediately, oh, communism doesn't work, does it? And it's like, wow, I've wasted my life. So this is the fertile, I think it's a fertile ground.
Very interesting exciting. Because there's so much compartmentalization and sort of the lies we tell ourselves and justifications we give ourselves in the name of something. Is it something you really believe in, or is it something that is a convenient structure for you to do what you want? The reason I pulled that quote out, which was, at the heart of every fanatic lies a secret doubt.
Now, who says that?
George Smiley.
It's George Smiley, isn't it?
I think, is it in Smiley's People or in Tinker Tailor?
It's in Tinker Tailor.
So that's another thing we were watching at the time.
John le Carré.
The original 1979 series of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy with Alec Guinness, which is amazing. Alec Guinness. Oh. But that quote sums up that kind of dichotomy at the heart of these people.
Yeah, it's very interesting that it's such a personal psychological thing. There was something I was going to say. I've completely forgotten now.
Spoke over you with the quote.
Yeah.
Well, what we'll do is we'll show you some of these other stories from this documentary that inspired the song, and maybe you'll remember while that's playing.
Poliakov had retired after 18 years of spying when the KGB pounced. He had been recruited while at the United Nations in New York. Poliakov returned to Europe in 1962 on the Queen Elizabeth. His picture was taken by the ship's photographer at the captain's dinner. Seated just a few tables away, the FBI man who recruited him, John Mabie.
He said, I'm dissatisfied with the way things are in the Soviet Union. The government does not look out for the people. They're headed on a course of war with the United States, and they can't possibly win it. And the only people that are going to suffer out of this are the Russian people.
From the start, this operation was betrayed to the KGB by a source inside British intelligence, George Blake. Blake had served as a British intelligence officer in Seoul. Captured by the North Koreans, he witnessed the West's bombing of civilians.
When I saw these enormous American flying fortresses flying low over what seemed to be defenseless Korean villages, I felt very acutely that I was on the wrong side and that I should do something about it.
On the 21st of February in 1994, Ames was arrested for spying, along with his wife Rosario, after years of high living.
Shock, depression, instant recognition of, one's life flashes before one. A sense of things coming to an end, but no sense of relief. It's much more painful than that.
In April 1985, Aldrich Ames had walked into the Soviet embassy in Washington and started selling secrets to the KGB. They paid him a total of $2.7 million.
Well, the reasons that I did what I did in April of 1985 were personal, banal, and amounted really to kind of greed and folly. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So that was Ames, and who betrayed Poliakov or Blake? I can't remember.
Poliakov, I
Yeah.
think.
But yeah, and reading the George Blake book is fascinating to see the way a person's their personality informs who they become and what they believe and the things they do in their life. And actually, I just remembered the thing that I forgot was that the word person, its original dictionary definition doesn't mean a person, but it means a personality, like a mask, like a character that we play.
Persona.
Persona. And in many ways, the part of the reason this is so fascinating for so many people is that we often wonder, well, what would we do in those positions? And the idea of being incredibly noble and doing the right thing, or being incredibly, a dirty, betraying swine and doing the wrong thing for all the wrong reasons. I mean, we all play parts in our life. You play the part of a teacher, you play the part of whatever you are at work, you play the part of a husband, you play the part of a son or a daughter or whatever. And these are all places where we play our parts. And it's the idea that a person can so perfectly play a part which is not them for large chunks of their life, and then to be betrayed. And that smile on Polyakov's face, the smile on their faces when they're found, is the lyric in the song. It's a smile of relief, the inevitability of it happening, and the fact that you don't have to lie anymore, or something like that. There's something very interesting about it.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Totally. You made me think of several other things, but I've forgotten them now.
Oh, no.
But I'm reading a book at the moment about, I guess, behavioural psychology, but a lot about the bystander syndrome and why good people stand by and do nothing. And one of the interesting things in one of the studies they talk about is everybody thinks that they'll stand up and do the right thing, especially with small transgressions, what might be perceived as small socially, like maybe a sexist remark, like a woman would never be president was one of them. And everybody thinks, I'd definitely call that out. But everybody fails to do so when actually put in that situation. And there are a number of reasons. Some of it is actually down to how our brains are wired and how we actually process social alienation the same way we do as physical pain, which they proved... they proved it in a study, and then subsequently someone said, so couldn't you cure that pain with Panadol, basically? And they did. There's lots of different reasons.
Yeah, the
behind
people will
these
actually
things.
would rather suffer physical pain than suffer social pain, the embarrassment. People would rather not be embarrassed than go through physical pain. And they proved that, didn't they? They gave them painkillers and they were able to be braver.
Yeah.
So we've gone on quite a bit. There's another whole part of the whole idea of the spies. There's obviously the tech, the code books, the number stations, the secret transmissions, all the Enigma machine, all that stuff.
Well, we'll cover a bit of that. You can hit play now, and we'll talk a bit about Snare. So all of this was one of the core tracks in Snare. There were a few at the beginning. We were watching loads of John le Carré related drama. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Smiley's People. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold is an amazing film, absolutely fantastic.
And obviously to go to Berlin,
yes,
and be in that very special place.
So we did go to Berlin that year for the first time for you, Chris, wasn't it? That's us in Tempelhof, and then the DDR Museum, which is a museum of East German. Pause it, maybe. East German. Sort of life, and there's a nostalgia for that time. They have a word for it called ostalgia, as in nostalgia for the East. So our early artwork was based around this idea of traps, which was just a tentative title. It always was. You can hit play again. You could see some rough early designs, and then doing very noirish sort of black and white feeling pictures.
That's right. We did a lot of looking at lots of book cover art from
so that
the
came
50s
a bit
and
later.
60s.
So keep it playing, and you'll see. We were doing photos around where we were in Sussex, but it went a bit grungy. It wasn't really the aesthetic we wanted. This sort of mock-up.
That's not us, is it?
But you did come up with a great title, Snare, at this stage. So from then I started exploring photography of early Cold War Berlin, and just that feeling, the palpable tension of that time is somehow, it's laced through all the buildings and the architecture.
What is that building?
I think that's the Stasi's building.
Now there's a totalitarian building.
Yeah, I mean, it says Stasi, doesn't it? They've done a good job there. And yeah, just looking at sort of graphic devices of, film and secret microfilm and text, typed text on Selectric typewriters. You hit play again. I actually created a font based on the IBM Selectric typewriter, and hit play. There's 16 of these typewriters. They have these little golf ball mechanisms that spin around. That's it in slow motion. It's crazy. It's like... And they discovered 16 bugged IBM Selectrics in the US Embassy in Moscow and the US Consulate in Leningrad, which were basically the first known keystroke loggers.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Well, there's a little bit of... Ooh.
Yeah, so that was our original teaser. I just got a bit obsessed with that typewriter. So yeah, then we did start looking at sort of spy art and book covers and film posters from that time. And they're really good at getting all that tension into one stark single image. So you can see the thumbnails here progress from like quite abstract to, I don't know, just, yeah, there's a lot of composition exercises, trying to get that feel of conflict, unspoken conflict, I would say.
Yeah, this is the thing. We started off with a spy sort of point of view, but that kind of psychological thing can apply to any human relationship, any situation, There's betrayal all around us and threat of,
who's really who and...
Yeah. Anyway.
So, we're still toying with these rope ideas on the left, but it's developing, and then narrowed it down to a few key designs and ended up going with the first one, which we like best. Just that U2 bomber above the lady is just such a good... no, it's not a bomber, it's a spy plane.
Yeah, U2 spy plane. Do you know what? I haven't seen these for ages.
Yeah.
That one on the bottom left looks pretty good.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
Actually, the skull's pretty good as well.
Looks a bit like, too much like Pulp Fiction, I think.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Nice font as well.
Thanks.
There we go.
Yeah, so we've settled on the final image. The U2 being sort of under the shadow of surveillance and locked by these lines of communication, barbed wire fences, all that kind of stuff was laced in there.
And that centre gatefold is Tempelhof.
It is indeed.
Airport.
Yeah. So you hit play again, you'll see on the last image there, there's some one-time pad code on the right.
Okay, so have you got a look at that?
You don't. I'll go into it more. But basically, we thought we can't just put code there ornamentally. It has to be a real code.
Yes.
And then we were like, we could do a competition, see if anyone can break it. So, yeah, here's how it ran. I found this amazing paper, The Complete Guide to Secure Communications with the One-Time Pad Cipher, which you can download free online. I'll pop the link somewhere. And if you hit play, it goes into great detail, but it also makes sense of it. Anyone can do it. It sort of just takes a lot of time and focus. So we released our clues on Instagram. Pause it. It's nothing to do with chess, the first clue.
Well, you put chess moves in there.
This is a red herring. There's just chess moves. They look cool.
Okay.
So that was the first clue. And then the second one, the first code to decipher is made from letters. Now that would have thrown people because the obvious ones are numbers. Both the codes are unbreakable without the cipher. You need the same cipher to solve both codes. And then clue number 4, the first code is hidden in a photo. I had forgotten this. I had to get the CD out and check where it was.
And where is it?
We'll see.
Okay.
Code number 1 is subtractive. Code number 2 is additive. That's just how you solve the code.
Okay.
So here's where the first clue is. Let it play.
Can you see it?
Dun, dun. I completely forgot it was there. It's there on the letters of the Selectric. I think it's a Selectric. So this would lead you to, if you hit play again, you'll see me working out how to do the code. I don't really understand this
crikey.
anymore, but it resolves to look-c.com, look-c.com, which was a domain I had registered. And this is the cipher. It's a checkerboard thing with, you use modulus arithmetic, which is a way of adding numbers so that you can't tell what was added to make the number. It makes it sort of more difficult to sort of identify how the code was made.
I mean, I'm just a bit like, terrified of you having done this. That's just like...
It's all gone now. I had to totally work this all out again.
Yeah. But you would say that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. So is there any more?
Yeah, so there's more. So now you've got the cipher. You can use this to solve the next one.
Yeah.
Which is...
Oh, no, it's
the
in there.
one-time pad. Oh, no, yeah, so the one-time pad and the cipher. You need those two things to solve the code. The cipher, yeah, they work together. So hit play again. The final code is actually those numbers in the track list, and you can see them there. It's like 166889696.
So hold on. Is this you definitively and finally basically giving up the ghost?
Well, I was going through our Instagram, and actually I did post an article about it on our website ages ago, but
The whole thing?
Yeah, I've lost it, and I wish I had it because I probably explained it much better.
Anyway, so most people would be worried about their artwork, having a nice picture of them on it.
Yeah.
But we
wanted to give you guys a code to solve that
I think we went a bit...
destroy your mind.
It destroyed our minds
Yeah,
as
well, here's the
little
thing. The person who did solve it, and someone did, they will remain anonymous.
I've just mentioned this on the...
No, you can't say anything.
I'm not going
they
to.
Were they are hobbyist code breaker, and he actually spotted I'd done, or she, don't know, spotted that I'd made a mistake in it, and still managed to solve it in spite of that. So what it looks like, it should have solved to, if you put that up on the screen, should have solved to, congratulations, you found the key. The first person to send the code word Nixie to battery-operated-orchestra@gmail.com gets the prize. Thank you for playing. And there's a mess up halfway through and some letters missing, but this person still managed to solve it. So they won the prize, which was the original artwork from Radiation.
So yeah, they obviously did an awful lot of hard work, and they got an A4 piece of watercolor.
Yeah,
it was well worth it. Very nice.
I think the fun is in what is it? It's the chase, isn't it?
Possibly.
It's the journey, not the destination.
People got really annoyed with how difficult it was, though.
Yeah,
I seem to remember some people go, "Why is it so difficult?" It's meant to be difficult.
I can't believe. I thought, it's reasonable with the clues. People will figure it out. But when I was trying to remember the order and everything to do this, I completely forgot there was a code in the typewriter. I was like, I would never say that. That was so, it was fiendish. So
yeah, we won't do that again.
Or will we?
Yes, good question. Yeah,
can't be topped.
Anyway, so that's kind of a long, sort of around the idea of snare, the idea of Poliakov. It's good that you know who Poliakov is. Another person we were very interested in was Yuri Bezmenov, who shows up in the Yesterday, Tomorrow and You, the album after that. So if you don't know who Yuri Bezmenov, do go and check him out. He's got a couple of lectures. He's a defector from the Soviet Union, and he a very interesting man indeed. But yes, I'm putting my other headphones in. What's next?
A suggestion from Gary G said The Lives of Others is a great Stasi movie. I haven't heard of it. I'll have to check it out.
That sounds great. I have heard of it, but I haven't seen it. So
cool.
Thanks for that.
On the list.
You're all spy fans, right? Everyone is.
Who isn't?
I mean, I can't see the... Yeah.
And Andy Kubachevsky said...
Well done on the pronunciation attempts
Andy,
there.
I normally say K and just cheat it. Kubachevsky
says,
will there be a vinyl release of this compilation? Not at this stage, but maybe in the future. I don't know. But even then, we probably have to reduce the length.
Or make it a double.
Or make it a double. Not at this stage, but maybe one day. I've produced the artwork in vinyl size just in case, because it would look amazing big.
Yeah. So yeah. Anything else there?
That's it.
That's it
for now. I'll have a look at other questions in the chat.
All right, fantastic. So that was Poliakov explained for you. Now, we have a new baby in the house. Didn't think we were going to, but we do. And it sort of ties in with our album coming out. You'll see why. So here is a synth of the month for you. At the last minute, literally just finished editing it 2 seconds before we went on air. Here we go. Bow, 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 bow. Synth of the month. The BOOcast synth of the month is the PWM Malevolent. So here's the Malevolent, and it's tiny and it's lovely. So here we go, let's have a look through. So we've got some keys controls here with an arpeggio rate. There's an arpeggio in here. LFO, we've got triangle and square output and a rate. The VCO1 and VCO2 are identical pairs. So we've got a saw and a triangle and a pulse and a mix out. These are all continuous. These bypass the filter and the envelope. And we've also got modulation in. Now, that side of the box, it says it's a modular synth. So we have modulation of each VCO. So we've got pitch right down to click land. All the way up to very, very high music for dogs indeed. And there's a fine tune knob so you can get yourself right into the pitch you want. With shape mod, we can modulate the shape of each of these waveforms. Also, there's a very nice little cascade of buttons here, so we can select our waveforms and mix and match them. So already with here, we've got, there's quite a lot of tonal flexibility because it's really nice to be able to sort of blend them together. But yes, with shape mod, so we can adjust the shape of each of these waveforms. So let's start with the sawtooth. It has a very interesting shape modulation. There's all kinds of octaves shifting in and out, some phase stuff happening, and it's a little bit more than your usual run-of-the-mill pulse width modulation stuff. So the shape mod is by default linked, as you can see from this green writing here. Although it's on the box, it's badged as a modular synth. In fact, it says it on front. I am modular, it's saying. Well, yeah. These green little bits of writing here show you where things are default patched inside, so there's wiring going on inside, so you don't need to plug anything in to get sound out. So the shape mod is coming from LFO as the triangle, so there's triangle out. So let's turn the shape mod up with the pulse width. So as you can hear, it goes through 0, and straight away there's a rhythmic thing happening. So you can pull it at various stages in the cycle and pull these rhythmic, shifting, tonally interesting waveforms out. Then just bung the lot on. So listen to that. As you can see, it's a very interesting bit of wave shaping going on. That's pulse width modulation, but on all three of the waveforms, you can hear them all at once. You can catch them at different parts of their cycle, so you can get all these interesting rhythmic things coming out. go. One VCO going through this, one LFO. Unfortunately, the LFO can't be synced to external tempo. However, you can sync the arpeggiator to the LFO, which is, yeah, and there's a way around it. But as you'll see, this whole synth has got a feeling of... as soon as I did play it in Glasgow at Rubber Dub, and I just went, oh, bloody hell. It was screaming at me like a little monster. It was just... it was great. As soon as I saw it, I just thought, oh, this is reminding me of something. It's giving me a feeling of something from my childhood, like something from the early days of when I first discovered synthesizers. It's a little bit out of control. It's a little bit it's just feels a bit broader than usual. These things seem to be, this tuning. Listen to that. That tuning range on its own just makes me think, oh, okay, we're wide open here. Let's see what's going to happen. So yeah, the other oscillator is exactly the same. We've got these level controls here. Oh yeah, God, I've completely forgotten. We've also got two FM modulation sources for the pitch of the oscillator. So by default, it's coming from envelope 1 here, and by default, the second one's coming from the LFO. But obviously, you can patch and get yourself connected to other sources or even external sources or whatever. I personally can't wait to get this little baby connected to the fuse box and the Dominion. Can't wait to do that. So there we go. So let's bring in the other oscillator. Turn it on. And this fine tune is lovely. I said these are two identical VCOs. Something that strikes me about this synth is it's not just a VCO plus another VCO. They seem to have an effect on each other when you push them. If you haven't seen the interview with Finlay Shakespeare on Sonic State's Patreon page, you should go and look at it. He talks about his inspiration of making this synth, and he said, if I didn't know what a synth was, what would I build? And instead of listening to other synths, he listened to music. So lots of music from the 70s have inspired this synth. So there's a kind of... I think we're getting early Human League vibes off lots of this. Whatever. Around about the 12 o'clock mark, they behave normally. They sort of add to each other. But it feels to me, I'm not sure if it actually does it in the circuitry, but it feels to me like when you bring one up and add it to the other one, they kind of inform each other and change each other slightly. And that's so good. So good. Oh God. Right, okay, so yeah, there's all this modulating capability. The two things go together. I'm trying and failing to express this feeling I have where it's not just that plus that, it's that times that. And as we'll see as we get onto the VCF, oh God, let's do that now. Okay, there's a noise. There's a noise. And I think it's just white noise. Bring that down. So there's the VCF. The filter is a Salon key filter controlled by two optical field effect transistors. I think they're called opto-FETs. And watch this. So here we go. Resonance is down at 0. Let's bring it up. Yeah. It's already screaming. And let's do this from the beginning. So I'm going to just take the pitch from the keyboard out and modulate the filter with the keyboard. So as you can hear, with a little bit of trial and error, you could probably tune that to the keyboard, but I'm personally quite enjoying the wonkiness of the not tuned chromatically vibe I'm getting from this. But there's, as you can see, this is screaming really, really short. Hear that? The pitch changes. Anyway, it kind of changes up and down the keyboard anyway, and the level of resonance coming through changes as you move up and down according to what's going into it. And then when you... Okay, let's bring the resonance right up. Bring that noise down. There's the resonance. That's the filter screaming, so... Bring up the level of this. Hear that? Now there's no modulation coming from VCO2 into the filter, but you can hear it. It's getting into that filter, and it's really breaking the resonance up, breaking it up a little bit. Oh. Oh. So good. Now this thing's reminding me right now of the SH1, one of the first synths I ever had as a kid. You take the output and put it into the input, you know, the usual trick. It screams like that, but it's sort of like something I discovered after a long time, and this is already doing it. Something else this reminds me of is, as you probably know, we use the CS01, the Yamaha little grey synth. Now we've got two of them. One of them I had I was like 13 or something, and I during my childhood I opened it up and did a modification on it, which was a really cack-handed modification. You open up the back of the CS01. Inside there's a little pot, a sort of one of those flat ones without a knob on it, and you take that off and reconnect it to the breath controller, and you get access to, you can basically make it have more resonance. And again, this is a sound I absolutely adore, and it's here. It's just, this thing is just doing it. It's like it's doing a lovely resonance sweep, but it's doing it in a really naughty, dirty way. God, listen to that. And then you bring the other... Check that out. All kinds of beautiful things breaking up this. It really feels like you're exploring a world of something that has just, it's very uniquely built, and it's designed to sort of almost hurt itself a little bit in various ways that you mix these things together. Now, in the interview with Sonic State on their Patreon, Finley talked about this filter, and he said it's basically on the edge of being unstable. It's kind of only just held in place by these two optofets keeping it there. And when I heard him say that, it put me in mind of those, you know, those weird stealth fighter aircraft that are all straight lines and rectangles, and they just don't look like planes at all. And they're sort of designed to be non-aerodynamic, and they're kept in the air by, you know, hundreds of computers that basically keep them in the air. If they all stopped working, the thing would drop out of the sky like a stone, because it's not aerodynamic. But what that near instability does to that plane is it gives it the ability to make maneuvers that are almost UFO-like. It can just, you know, flip, do crazy things that normal aircraft wouldn't be able to do, because it, you know, by rights, it shouldn't be in the air. That's what I thought when Finley said that about this filter. It's nearly not a filter. It's nearly broken. It's just like holding on by its fingernails. And you can really hear it. It's just go. Check that out. Bring the drive down. Sorry. Hurting the drive there. As you can see, I've done hardly any patching here. There's just a little bit of pitch to the... Check that out. So this, again, this is a very beautiful, familiar sound to me. There's something about... Listen to that. Wow. Anyway, so envelope 1 is default hardwired to the filter. So we got proper ADSRs here. Let's bring that up. Very nice. Envelope 2 is hardwired to the amplifier, and there it is. This is the amplifier here. We can go to a drone setting, and when you put it in drone setting, you can hear that there's a little bit of noise in the background there as the whole thing's kind of well, Finn says it's the breathing. And I'm perfectly fine with it. I think it's great, because it's way back to the days of, this is an electronic piece of stuff that's basically I mean, I apologise. That's basically what I'm going to do. There's loads of better reviews of this synth out there. Go and find them. But let's put the arpeggio on. So there we go. I have done very little patching. I can't wait to get into this little baby. Do you know what it reminds me of? Look at it. What does it remind you of? It reminds me of the grandmother, the Moog grandmother. Yeah? But this is a dangerous grandmother. This is a violent grandmother. This is a grandmother on glue. Thanks for watching. So sorry.
Wow.
Just
Aquatic
no script.
Borealis said you could use this to torture spies.
yeah. I was tortured myself with it. But it's that was no script, one take. So apologies if I mean I hope it came across that I'm actually genuinely very, very, very excited about this synth. I mean I love a lot of different synths, but this one sort of touched me in a real special.
Me too. I just
place.
want to play with it. I just like Wagyu said something actually. What did he say? He likes the realm of discovery when things are behaving strangely like that, when tiny knob movements make a completely different vibe. It's very much like that. Yes,
absolutely. And if you aren't a Patreon supporter of Sonic State already, I mean, it's well worth it. And there's a fantastic interview with Finley Shakespeare and Nick Batt talking to him about this synth. And there was something about, there's some synthesizers like Moog, for example, put a lot of energy. Nick was saying about how the knob turns are gradated, so you get a very, like, it's not linear. You get a sort of, at either end of the turn, it's more subtle, so you get to tweak that in. And then in the middle, you've got a slightly more movement, and then, you know what I mean? But with this, it's kind of, it's straight in. It's straight in. And that adds to the quality of, like, it's been soldered together by a gang of street punks, you know?
It does. It weirdly, I know that's designed to make you get more control at the extremes than those other synths.
I can't believe I just said street punks. What the hell is wrong with me? Oh, no.
It is so fun. Just, yeah, all over the place. We're going to play with it a lot. Lots of
Deeply
comments.
ashamed of myself.
Keith in Watford loves his, uses it on the semi-modular. Technomatic says, stop hiding in the non-modular closet, Chris. This is
Simon,
as
hello.
close as we
Happy
can
New
get.
Year to you too.
He also said it's got flavours of the MS-20 and the Polyvox.
Yes, I mean, yeah, someone else said that. MS-20, Polyvox, and something else. It's like a sort of direct cross between three synths.
It just really reminds me of your CS one you've had since you were little, with that little modification you've done.
It's got that thing.
It's like you just touch it
It's out of
gently and then
control.
suddenly it's like screaming wildly.
Mm.
That's our fun interface.
Again, apologies. I just threw that together and I kind of got lost in the screaming noises, like what I sometimes do. It was only by the very end I realised, oh shit, I've had drive up all the way full all this way, but I didn't care. It's great.
The Polyvox was mentioned again, actually. Andy Kay said, "What's your favourite Cold War era synth? The Polyvox?"
Yeah, I mean, I've played a couple of esoteric Russian synths. Can't remember.
Well,
what they
I
were
thought,
called.
does it count as Cold War era, the AKS Synthy 2? Because it's like a spy
Well, yeah.
suitcase
I mean,
for
the Cold
detonating
War.
a bomb or something.
But yeah, totally. Yes.
It's very, very Cold War.
Yeah, it's like something you could open up and like
Yeah,
blow up a building with.
with a sound
Totally.
wave.
With a sound wave. Kate Bush.
What
Sorry,
else?
do you know what I'm talking about?
Um,
And they told us what they wanted was a sound that could kill someone from a distance.
which song's
So
that?
we can't. Sorry. Does anyone know what I'm talking
Which
about?
song is that?
I can't remember what it's called. Experiment 15 or something. Anyway,
I
Kate Bush fans
I
out
was
there.
a Kate Bush fan, but apparently not.
Yeah.
Lots of recommendations for spy stuff. Steve Elbows said Traitor by Dennis Potter, starring John Le Mesurier. Meant to be very good.
Great man.
There's a US spy doc called Wormwood, Aquatic Borealis recommended. AD Vision says we should read a book called Intercept.
Who's that by? Is that a novel?
Know.
Is it non-fiction?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. Master Boot Records, another artist who hides puzzles in his album art. That sounds like worth
Let's
checking
check him out.
Because I'm always interested to see what other people have done for, their packaging ideas for CDs. I think one of the most out there things I've seen was Tool's album, which had a video screen in it.
Oh yeah.
That was crazy. But yeah.
Tool's artwork's amazing. Was that lenticular one with all the 3D rotating eyeballs and stuff?
Yeah. And actually, Violet Electrode's doing a concrete album.
That-
That's pretty extreme as well.
Yeah.
And
I think we said to Jane and Martin at the time, I think you've gone too far now. That's it. There's no coming back from this. What next?
Because the ideas are big, but it's like how much it can actually end up costing you. Like,
Do you actually
the
want
Scritti
to
Politti album? No, not Scritti Politti.
New
What's
Order.
his name? Is it the sandpaper one? It's designed
Oh,
to
the
scratch
sandpaper one.
the
Yes, yes.
disc.
Sorry, that's I've
The
forgotten who that
vinyl.
is.
I've forgotten.
Yeah.
I always
I
get
was thinking of the artwork for
the
Blue
name
Monday,
mixed
which
up.
cost Factory Records
Yes.
50p every time they sold one. They
so
went,
they
it won't
lost
be a
money.
hit. It was in the charts for like 20 years or something.
Oh God!
Oh dear.
Fatal error.
Oh dear, oh dear. We were trying to get silver foil onto our artwork for the new album, by the
We
way, and
were.
unfortunately the printer said, sorry, the detail's too fine, it won't work. So
Yeah, it would have just been blobs.
that was a bit of a shame. But hey,
Maybe if it's on vinyl, it'd be big enough to
Gordon-
do that.
Gordon Cora's The Intercept book. Thanks, AD
Thank
Vision.
you,
Awesome.
Gordon
Experiment
Carrera.
4. Well, that's right, Scuzzer. That's the one. Apologies for the appalling Kate Bush impersonation.
A few other questions.
People say I look more like her than I sound like her, though. So
Azio Head said the near instability on the Malevolent is sort of like the Sherman filter bank,
yeah,
which I hadn't seen before, but
Yeah.
it looks pretty cool.
it's always lovely. I mean, it's nice to have a relationship with equipment where you're not merely. It's not just a machine. It's responding back at you. And I do, but I do believe. Don't let me ever say that. But I think that what's going on with some synths is that it's more than a sum of its parts. That the Malevolent, it looks like it's. Yeah, well, I said in the review, it's kind of
The Wasp. That's the other thing it reminds me of.
That's the third synth.
Yeah.
The Wasp. I think the MS-20 has a Salon key filter as well. I think it might be the same sort of design of filter, but I'm not sure about that.
It's probably not controlled by Optofets, though.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
You and your Optofets.
I love that word. It's my new favourite word. Let's control everything with Optofets.
I think we should.
Donald Gregg said, do Boo like Gary Newman?
Yes.
And have you ever met him?
No.
One day, if anyone can arrange it for us, just let us know. You don't meeting your heroes.
I don't like doing it. I mean, frankly, nothing's going to top being given a prawn by Steve Davis.
That was a highlight.
It was really nice.
That was a big highlight.
We actually watched the Steve Davis
an exhibition match.
Taylor, what's his name? Dennis Taylor final in 1985 last night. Can you believe the final frame?
Apropos of watching their exhibition match more recently.
Which
was hilarious.
It was great because I don't know if you do this, but we at the end of the year we usually sort of sit down and have a little think about what's happened this year. We go through our diaries and make a little sheet writing down all the stuff that happened. And
the good stuff mostly.
The good stuff. I don't know if anything really bad happened this year.
We
Not
were
to
more
us,
ill
anyway.
than normal this
Planet
year.
Earth was a mess, but
I didn't write it down, but we were both sick a lot this year, and I think it's because we basically weren't sick for 2 years, and now we got caught all the colds, so we should be back to normal now.
Socializing. Speaking of socializing, I had a fantastic birthday party. We went out and we had Matt Hodgson come along, and Chris D, MIDI Era, came along, and it was a great pleasure to introduce those guys to our friends. And actually, I will say this, I don't know if anyone from Sonic State's in the chat at the moment.
I think so.
I don't want to embarrass you, but Chris, Matt and I were, we'd had a few drinks, but we were talking to each other about Sonic State and Nick and Andy of Sonic State, and just saying, do you think they understand how important they are? And we were just sitting there going, do you know, they've changed everything. They've changed my life. I know it sounds like we're overstating it a little bit, but it's like we were just going, God, those guys are incredible. Do they understand how much they mean to planet Earth? And then we got another pint in.
They make the world a better place.
But it was a really important...
their asses off.
It's a really important conversation. Well, you have to work your ass off.
You do, to make good things.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it. I think everybody does, and I hope we've all made them feel appreciated because they're amazing.
But that was a nice thing to talk about. Just talk about things. Jurity Column.
Jurity Column. I always get that mixed up with Scritti Politti, who are completely different just because of the double T.
I want an album that'll destroy all the other albums in your record collection.
Yeah, I get onomatopoeic dyslexia. Or what is that? I don't know if that's a thing.
Onomatopoeic dyslexia. The fact that you can say that word and probably read it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Scuzza has asked, will there be a pre-order available for the compilation? I don't actually know.
No idea,
we'll have
Scuzza.
To check.
Sorry. I don't know.
We'll start... We've taken a very health-giving break from social media, which has been amazing. All the posts about the stuff going up on YouTube have been pretty much automated. But this month, we'll be back on there promoting the new compilation, basically, and doing lots of posting. So we'll be around on there again.
Something
Say
to look
hi.
forward to. And on the, when is it? The BBC?
26th.
So the album comes out on the 20th of January. We're on the BBC Live on the 26th. We're putting it's just 4 tracks we're playing live. But if you get a chance to tune in, keep an eye on our socials. And we'll tell you what's happening and what to do and, who to shout at and complain.
And we'll be sharing some pictures of ourselves doing things over the years, probably, some early stuff. Apologise to our ampled supporters because we haven't posted a lot this month. In fact, I'm not sure if we did anything, mostly because we were ill and haven't been on it. But we're going to be posting more things. I've got a folder full of stuff to share.
Are you going to mention about the Ampled?
I am. More than one person has had trouble signing up with getting card verification. And we did find out what was causing this. There's a new type of security authentication that's rolling out to cards called SCA, Secure Card Authentication, or something like that. And basically the whole platform is built in a way that doesn't account for this. So the guy who is their developer, their only developer, got back to us and said, this is what it is. I've got to the bottom of it, but it's going to take me some time to fix it because I'm the only guy. And it's great that they've given us an answer, but I might need to ask them for an ETA because in the meantime, people are not able to join us there and see all the stuff that we've posted. And it kind of calls into question, like, how reliable is it? Is all our stuff going to disappear? I'm sure it'll be fine. And we want to give these guys every chance. But, you know, if we have to go somewhere else, then
there's a slight chance
it.
that we might go and look at the Bandcamp,
which is
way
the
of doing
same
things.
sort of thing. It's just a monthly subscription. There's like a minimum $3 fee, I think.
I mean, Unplayed have been great. They're really nice. They're getting back to
lovely.
people, but I mean, there's so few of them, and it is a worry now that we go, okay, that's been a good 2 or 3 months. That's not been fixed.
Yeah.
Whereas, of course, Bandcamp's are much more secure. It's been there for years.
However, it's owned by Tencent, so how
Uh,
secure is it? We
well,
don't
that's
know.
the thing.
It's all a gamble. But we'll try and stick with Ampled as long as we can, and I'll get an ETA hopefully for when that bug's going to be fixed, so that those of you who are waiting to join at least know when you can, and you'll be able to see all the previous posts as well. You'll have lots of fun stuff to dig through.
Yeah, fantastic. And I have actually, finally, while Brie was ill, I basically spent my time getting stems of everything we've ever done. So I might just start but unloading them on you. You know, you've asked for it.
It's a big bounty.
I might a big bounty. Nice. What could I do with a bounty? When did you last have a bounty? I haven't had a bounty for ages. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The bar.
Coconut chocolate bar, delicious.
I like a bounty.
I love them too. I think I'm going to go and have a bounty in a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, look,
Let's all go have bounties.
let's go and have a bounty.
This program is not sponsored by Bounty.
Yet. But I want to say thank you very much for joining us. It's a real joy to have you here. We were both like, yeah, what were we?
Ill.
Half dead today. And we just worked ourselves through the whole thing.
Yeah, Chris has been fighting off the cold I've had.
I didn't get
You've
it.
managed to not get it.
I know how to fight
Thank
these
God.
things.
But anyway, we're really glad you all joined us here, and I'm so sorry about the wrong time. I'll make doubly sure it's right next time. It would be 6:30, and the canny amongst you noticed quickly. They were like, "It's normally at 7." I think they meant to do 7. We did.
You did mention why we put a half-hour lead in.
Yeah, we put a half. I think so. It gives YouTube chance to notify everybody because
we were watching some other shows and they put a much longer lead in, and they've basically been saying because YouTube sometimes takes a while to pull its finger out and send notifications to people, so we figured we'd leave it going longer and put a few little B-side nuggets on there for you, y'all. Anyway, is everyone okay?
Yeah,
bite-sized
everyone's
bounty for
having
Christmas. Who had that? Ian J. Cole.
That's what I was
Just
thinking
one
of. It was a
bite-sized
bite-sized one
bounty?
that I'd had. Yeah.
No, you need a big one.
Celebrations. It was a crate. Octagon of celebrations.
Now, yeah, chocolate time. Hey, did you want to talk about a film before we go?
Okay. As a bonus feature.
We saw a bloody great film, but absolutely
you can start with that one. I wanted to talk about best films of 2022.
Did you?
And you can talk about the last film we saw.
Show me what's on your card.
Which was on Christmas
night.
Okay,
we saw... Which one was that?
Not Christmas Eve. The
yes.
one you wanted
Christmas
to mention.
Day. Christmas Day, we went to bed at 8 o'clock and we were really tired and just worn out. And we woke up at midnight and then we ate a lot of blue cheese at midnight and we watched...
Speak No Evil.
Thank you. Speak No Evil. Possibly a great film. A little bit like, if you've seen it, I don't know if you will have, Force Majeure. It's a kind of one of those extremely uncomfortable social dramas where it's all about the tiny little impolitenesses and it just leaves you going, ugh. And oh my word, it accelerates and it's actually really quite shocking at the end. And I don't want to overstate how shocking it is. If you take this as a recommendation, I'm warning you, but make sure you're okay and you can deal with something that
is extremely horrific, and especially for parents. If you have young children, you might not want to watch it.
In fact, a lot of our friends that have kids have basically say we can't watch horror movies anymore, not since we've had children.
Yeah,
don't like the idea, and this especially, it's just
horrible. But it's got incredibly valuable lessons.
It's incredible, yes.
And I don't want to spoil the ending, but
it's one of those films that we talked about for days afterwards.
We did.
All the The ramifications. That's a very big word, isn't it?
It's good. What's good about it in the horror and the awfulness of it is that it doesn't pull any punches. It shows you the full result of where things have led, which I think is more educational than if they'd made it a happy ending.
Yeah.
So that was the best, and it was the last.
Speak No Evil. It's Danish
and
film.
it's on Shudder, I think.
I think it's on Shudder. The director said, "We want to make the most messed up Danish film ever made," and that was my Danish accent. Apologies to everyone in Denmark. My apologies.
It's his first film. He was an actor before, this guy.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he really?
It's
Well,
really
he
good.
succeeded. His mission was to make the most effed up film in Denmark movie making history. I think he's done it.
All the other 5-star films are a bit scary. There's one fun. So, Roll Red Roll, which was from 2018, is a documentary.
Oh, that's horrible.
It's horrible, but it was very good.
Oh.
It was a documentary about a rape case at Steubenville High School in the US,
God, yeah.
which got a lot of
It's horrific. It
press.
it's really angering as well.
It's
unbelievable.
Much like, what was that one Collective we saw the year before about the fire?
Yep,
but these
shocking.
documentaries are good. They need to bring these things into the light so that we can learn.
Got anything light in there? Any animation?
Yeah,
or?
Sherlock Jr., 1924, Buster Keaton.
Oh, yes.
That
Yes,
was
that
great.
lovely.
I'd never seen that. And La Cabina is horrific,
Spanish.
but funny.
1970s.
Horrific.
Oh, no, it's utterly horrific. Again, sorry, you see where we're going with this.
Oh, so the 4-star, these ones are 4 stars. With Spirit of the Beehive, it was in there.
Beautiful.
That was amazing. Spanish, dreamlike, definitely one kids can enjoy as well.
Beautiful
Family,
film.
fairy tale-esque. We recently saw Gaslight from 1944, where the term gaslighting comes from, and it was brilliant. I'd never seen THX 1138 from 1971.
Yeah, that's great. I'm just reading the comments.
Got any good ones? What?
Apparently I'm Boba Fett. What? I don't understand.
The King of Comedy, 1982, Robert De Niro. That was weird.
King of Comedy's great.
It was great. It was very off.
What do you mean it was weird?
Well, it
It's a
was...
brilliant film.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm saying it was brilliant, but it was not the usual... Are you
Just
okay?
checking the time.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was not the usual sort of American comedy you expect to see. It was nuanced and had depth.
Not implying that any of our American friends are in any way
No.
lacking in nuance.
But it
Are
wasn't
we?
like Zoolander, you know?
Nothing's like Zoolander.
I like Zoolander, but hey. The Day Shall Come, Chris Morris.
The Day Should Come. That was good.
The reason that was good, it was interesting reading reviews of that because a lot of people didn't get it, that it was satire. Like, when people don't get that, they're like, wow, this is really offensive to
It's a really
people.
difficult line to tread, and Chris Morris sort of managed it, but you can't make those kinds of serious, deeply serious statements and have them couched in a sort of slapstick comedy thing.
Yeah.
And like to them, if you're just watching it, you might end up just missing the point. Yeah, I guess.
It was basically a sort of dark comedy about false flag connected with the CIA.
Communities.
Communities.
That's our joke from that film.
Last number 4-star film of the year, which we just saw as well. I'm Not a Serial Killer.
Oh, it's lovely. Christopher Lloyd.
2015. Yeah, Christopher Lloyd plays
Christopher
a lovely
Lloyd
old
is
man
not a
in
serial
it.
killer.
And the star is sort of this young man who works in his mum's mortuary, like as an assistant. And
What are these people going to think of us? Mortuaries, horrible rape cases, people being murdered. Don't watch it if you've got
just didn't
kids.
see a lot of funny stuff.
Look, I'm
this
sorry,
year.
guys. We're really nice
We
people.
have seen a lot
honestly.
of funny films over time.
Have we? I don't
Yeah.
remember any.
I did think I really felt like watching a Ghibli movie over Christmas. Maybe
That'd be
this is
nice.
why.
Maybe we should cleanse ourselves with My Neighbor Totoro.
Palate cleanser.
A bit of My Neighbor Totoro and everything will be better. Anyway, we should probably head
We
off
should
now.
go now.
Listen, thank you very, very much for joining us. It's really lovely to see you all there again in the chat. And can't beat a good old Norman Wisdom film. Mr. Grimstyle. Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I hope you all have a great year.
Fantastic year. I think it's going to be good.
There's a good vibe this year. It's not several people have said, I don't know why, but I feel like we've all turned a corner. Something feels really good and positive. Even though the news is a terrible mess and everything, well, my advice, as ever, is just switch the stuff off. It really helps.
It's good. It feels like last year, my sister actually said it felt like it was all push, push, push. And it did feel like, just struggle all the way. And now it feels like, okay, we planted all the seeds. Now we can watch them grow.
You're quoting Killing Joke
reap
song
the
there
fruit.
again.
No, she did accidentally.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Push, push, struggle. 80s.
Yeah.
I am now in my 80s. Anyway, right. So we love you.
Happy New Year.
Have an extremely splendid first month. We'll see you at the BBC thingy.
Yeah.
Come and support us in any way you can. Just send a few messages telling them we don't suck. And
we'll see you on February 6th, I think it is.
February,
it's the first Monday in February.
Literally the day before Bridget flies to Australia.
I can't wait. It's the first time I've been back since before.
What am I
Well,
going
the
to do?
before times. You've got Nixie. She'll take care of you.
Oh, yeah. I've got a lot of work to do as well anyway. But yes, take care.
Take care.
We're off. We're really going now.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.